I'm BrianGrainger. I'm out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Port City's top comic winner 2014 and 2017.
Yeah. And Brian, before I get into like the questions I sent you, just kind of loosen you up, get you talking, I'm gonna just ask you some random stuff off the top of my head.
Okay.
So, what's your favorite Dr. Dre song?
My favorite what?
Dr. Dre song.
Dr. Dre Song? With him or like?
Whatever you want to say, man. Whatever comes.
Because Dr. Dre is a terrible rapper.
Song, not necessarily like something
Right.
with yeah. It don't have to be, you know.
Something with the firm, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Y'all bash the firm too, but
I love. I don't love it, but I love it because of how many people hate it.
Yeah.
I like the firm, but people hate it so bad that like seems like love.
I think he jumped outside of his fabric in it. But yeah, other than that, he's a terrible rapper. There's no.
I'm more so of a wrecking. I'm more so of a Wrecking Crew fan. You know, when he was in the Wrecking.
No,
Crew.
you're not.
You know
Really?
what I mean? Yeah.
I don't
That's what
know
your shirt made me think of that.
I don't know one Wrecking Crew song.
Yeah, I don't either. But I love the sequence that he was wearing on the album cover.
Yeah, I do love that.
So, dang, you really so not a Dr. Dre fan at all?
Well, no, I love his. As far as production, yeah, Chronic did it for me.
Yeah.
Chronic 2001, not so much. I'm not. I think he. Yeah, and it was too much of a build-up. Eminem's album was dope.
50 Cent?
Oh yeah, 50 definitely. I think that was kind of his re-emergence into it. And then who else? Did he do Kendrick too?
He did the first
Kendrick's
Kendrick.
first ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely, as far as production-wise, yeah, definitely. Rapper, no, there ain't one. There is a couple songs where he might have kind of ripped up on the verse. I like that he can actually keep the cadence.
Yeah, because most of the people wrote for him. Like Jay-Z's wrote for him. I think J. Cole's wrote for him. Of course, Ice Cube's wrote for him.
And he can deliver it.
Yeah, like Diddy. Like people say Diddy can't rap, but he can rap.
He can rap. He just can't write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me. So you lived in L.A. and the Bay?
Yeah.
What's that story? Like, how long were you in L.A.?
L.A. off and on. I moved out to Los Angeles in 1989, and then probably 9 months moved to the Bay Area with my dad. I was bounced in between homes. I didn't come with a two-family household all my life, and then
Neither did I.
that's what makes me who I am. So moving to the Bay Area was just a little bit more blue collar. We still, even when I was in LA, everything was a little bit more glamorized, and that was the first time I actually got to California. Was when I moved to LA. It was the Beverly Center. We used to live off of Robertson and Doheny and Beverly Hills.
So what would you say was the major difference between LA and Bay Area car culture?
The difference was that, like, if you went down Crenshaw to the sideshow, cops didn't really fuck with you. You know what I mean? I remember most of the sideshows that I was at, anything going on, immediately the cops would break it up. You know what I mean? There was a few successful times where it would just pop off, and you have like a 2-hour session, and that's like going to Vallejo or Oakland to go see him. But for the most part, wherever else we was at, they would immediately get broken up, and it seemed like the ones in Los Angeles, like, cops were there, they was doing, but you could just keep cruising. LA, I didn't really see much of a sideshow. I would just see the strip.
So describe what a sideshow is.
A sideshow is a gathering at intersections, just running intersections where the whole block will be shut down and people will bring their souped up cars to figure 8 or as better known, do-si-do, where you over there hitting the skirts on them. Sidewinding, you over there. It's just, and loud music, doors open. A lot of people, sometimes in the hundreds to the thousands.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're from Bay Area. So are you Mac Dre or are you E40? Which team are you?
Oh, man. Uh, I'm ambivalent. I'm both because I mean now Mac Dre. You can tell by the way I wear my clothes, but I'm still always. E40 was probably one of my favorite rappers. Is one of my most influential rappers. I mean he's got loads of wisdom for people my age. So
All right. So spit your Bumble verse, the Bumble.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Go ahead, spit it.
Tennessee Toddy, I pulled it all nighty, had a little too much to drink, almighty. God, can you give me some leeway? I'm seeing tubes on the a freeway. No, is that the Bumble? That's not the Bumble. You know what? No, I can't do it. I've been.
I tried to listen to that song. I'm like, I don't get it.
It's just too much going on. Oh, damn. I bought the Lexi, speed up to catch me. Lexus from Concord, reached out and touched me. I know some beautiful black intelligent women that's sexy. I mean, he was on that level, and I was a teenager listening to that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So definitely for me, it kind of influenced me into most possibly the man that I am today. He gave you, he gave you his lifestyle, but he also came from a place that was genuine. So you got a lot of gems and stuff that you might have heard from your grandparents or from older generations infused in his songs. Mac Dre taught you how to pimp and hustle. That was his main focus. You know what I mean? And he had a couple little jewels in there, but he was just a little bit more like an anarchist when he. Yeah.
So Mac Dre had a song called My Chevy. Tell me how important the Chevy is to the Bay Area.
It is. It's a rival.
Remember, you gotta say the Chevy. You gotta so they know what you're talking about.
Oh,
Let's stop there real quick. Let me make some adjustments.
Okay.
Since you stopped,
No, I got to talk about the Chevy.
You got a Jeopardy with
Test 1, 2. Drop it. Alright. Yeah, play it like that. Alright, vibe with that shit, nigga. Alright, bring that bass up a little bit. Yeah, like that. Check it out. This good sound.
Flip the Lexus, beat up the catches, Lexus and Concord, keep you and touch me.
Some of you hoe kick ass niggas like bras be messy. I know some beautiful black intelligent women that's sexy.
E40's backed and blacking.
I don't be barking, no even high capping. You better watch me. I'm coming snapping. 95, 96, 97. Fake custodian, 30R6 custodian. Special shot to capture with all the souls in opium. About the sound, the Valley Joe. Just like a democratic
That song is way ahead of its time. That would be a hit right now. And that was back then. I mean, that's essentially all that. This is Mac Dre in jail. Yeah.
He was in jail when he did this?
Yeah, he was in Folsom. He's over the phone.
And Mac Mall.
Someone wrote a song in jail over the phone?
Oh, he did a whole album. It wasn't
I
a
remember, I
song.
barely
Yeah, it
remember.
was a whole album.
Somebody else did that too.
Yeah, a few people did.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash was, I guess, the first to kind of, but he wasn't over the phone.
Yeah.
He was actually booked for a Folsom gig, but these guys went over the payphone. Like the intro to the songs are, boom, you have an inmate from, Folsom County facility or Carquinez.
I think Bobby Shmurda just dropped some stuff from off the phone too.
Right. Yeah. So all that stuff kind of re-emerges in it. So you asked me like about the Chevy and how important that is to the Bay Area. The Camaro, the Chevelle, different cars like that, the Nova, all the old schools that I knew that were, personally, like, people would get these cars just because of the body frame of them. They look tough, you know what I mean? So you could have one that had just all kind of dents and Dexco, whatever that paint remover is. Or you could have some of them that were cleaned up, candy paint. That was the first time I knew that you had to have a lot of money to put into these cars, the most influential car from my neighborhood and from where I was the 5.0.
The Mustang 5.
Mustang, yeah.
Okay. What car trend used to be the hype that you don't really see around anymore?
Dayton's, like putting Dayton's on rims.
What about Dayton, sir?
Well, Dayton's are like a bicycle spoke, and they would put them on the car, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful rim. It's very heavy, so I guess it wouldn't be very, practical to put on anything now. But that rim was a staple growing up. These things were like these spokes that would crisscross in and out. Sometimes you get the 100 spokes, you can get them down to, 50, 30 spoke Daytons, and guys would cover the whole tire up with that. And, these had these tires that look like run flats, would kind of hang over them, get them in gold. If you had the tires from the Cadillacs, like the Bromes and stuff like that, you get the little white wall trim around the Dayton, make it look real pretty. Then you got yellow around it, and that's mayonnaise and mustard. That's where the slang comes from with that. And along with that goes the interior of your car too. Whatever kind of everything's just got to be on point. You have your peanut butter inside with your tan leather. A lot of guys, if they're riding around in some of these old school cars, the insides of them, the front, it's like a sofa, like a big leather sofa, and it's hot. You get in there and there's like 2 seat belts, strapped along either side, and in the back seat, these are these big tanks that you're driving around in. But of course, the more money you had, the better you would take care of your interior of your car.
So earlier you were talking about the sideshow. What was the sideshow like? Or what did you call it? You called it
Yeah, the sideshow or the strip. I didn't really grow up immersed into the L.A. car scene because I didn't go to high school there. I did a little bit of elementary school and whatnot. I did most of my formidable years in the Bay Area. So, but when I got to LA, I was probably like, 18, 19 years old. I would go and visit my brother, and he would take me down Crenshaw and, just watch Slauson with all the Crips and Bloods riding up and down the street, and beautiful cars. I mean, these things were immaculate. I could see that these guys actually had a lot of money, fuck whatever they affiliated with and everything. They put some money into their cars. And then you had, everybody else pushing what they had, but you don't want to show up unless you were clean. You would see around that time like the Infinities. This is where the Europeans would start to impact on the sideshows. You see these beautiful old school American classic cars that were beefed up, and then you see the new schools come up, and then the real ballers is like, hey, I got money, come pulling up in some big body Mercedes shit, like that series or model 5, whatever, and the 750 Beamers that had got a whole V8 in them.
When you're in a ride, what album makes you feel like you're back in the Bay?
RBL Posse, Ruthless by Law, both of their self-titled tracks. E40s in a major way, definitely would take me back, some nostalgia. Dre Dog, Andre Nicotina is the artist now, but Dre Dog was definitely something that I grew up on. And also Master P's West Coast Bad Boys compilation. Master P put all the hottest Bay Area artists onto one album and made a classic. So everything on there is just, everything on there is a hit in terms. I mean, it's duds because the album is, more than 20, 30 years old, but.
Can you kind of like re-say that again, and then be like when I get in the car, if I listen to any of these, this would make me feel like I'm back in the Bay.
Yeah. If I'm riding in the car and I want nostalgia for my time when I grew up, I would definitely listen to E40s in a major way, RBL, Posse, Ruthless by Law, they self-titled album, and Master P, West Coast Bad Boys, Volume 1. And what he did was he had put all the major Bay Area artists onto one album and made what is the compilation. And it was a hit all over the streets. It was that's what we listened to.
Who are some Bay rappers you think more people should know about?
As of right now, you got to know about all of them because most of the rappers now are regurgitating everything that they would have done. Like I've heard right now, Bay Area rappers that people need to know about are people that I grew up on. So Mac Mall, Mac Dre, everyone knows who E40 is. He's a household name for the most part. So Andre Nicotina, I could go on. Totally Insane, 3 Times Crazy.
How would you say hip hop and car culture connected?
That's what people, hip hop and car culture connected because that's what people did. You know what I mean? Like the songs were about cars specifically. Some of it was kind of coded in there. One of the songs that I would listen to when I was growing up was called Candy Paint by this artist named Cool Nut. And he would talk about, his Impala, but he just kind of coded it in there. It was a whole song about a car, but he did it as like he was talking about a woman. And so car culture and hip hop was always interfused, you know what I mean? Like when I got to California and people were driving me around in their cars, they had these ridiculous sound systems that you couldn't even hear the music. It was just like, for the most part, just blowing out your eardrums. And these guys were sitting there quaking the block with their music, That became what it was. When I was getting ready to get a license, I was like, I got to do that. I took a couple of house speakers and hooked them up into my car and tried to do the same thing.
What are the best strips to cruise?
And if you go back, the cruise, the sideshow, the cruising, it's all over with. You know what I mean? They stripped that culture clean. I don't know what's going on in the Bay Area right now. I haven't been back for more than 20 years. But if you did, you go underneath the Carquinez Freeway bridge. go down like 93rd and Pine Street in Oakland, you know, anywhere over in that area, down near the hundreds and all that stuff. Those guys would definitely shut down blocks, you know, see guys shutting off San Pablo Avenue, Solano Avenue, or just showing off their cars and like spinning donuts and all kind of shit.
So what region do you associate the box Chevy, like the big box Chevys and stuff with?
Like the big box Chevys, you talking about like Malibus and like those cop Interceptor cars, like
Yeah, like any of the like
that, like 85, 80.
Yeah, like, yep, 80.
Oh, okay.
I associate that with or whatever.
Right. And I mean, those are another car.
And the donks.
I'm trying to think of like the actual models of some of those cars because I know, like maybe not the Malibu, but the the Caprice. Is that? Yeah, Caprice Classic. All those cars later on became like, I guess I would attribute that like LA culture more than anything, like
What would you attribute it
Grand
to?
Marquis. Yeah.
What would you attribute to
That's
LA
like
culture?
a drive-by car. I mean, when they fixed up, they nice. You know what I mean? Like, I seen people with original cars and like they look beautiful. They paint them up well. I don't know. It just wasn't one of those cars that was like a fixture for me. Like, oh, I got to get a Caprice Classic or I got to get a Grand Marquis, any of that.
Yeah, or Broham.
Or a Brougham, yeah.
So tell me about a car that is a fixture to you.
One that I would have?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Old school, like Plymouth Challenger, like 66, sometime around there. Or Dodge Plymouth Challenger. I really like that car. You know, it's just big and heavy. Looks like it could load up a lot of kids. I'd smoke in it. It wouldn't matter. It's just a big steel tank. Booger green.
Is there a song that makes you think of a particular car, or is there a particular car that makes you think of a particular rap song?
Is there a particular car that makes me think of a particular rap song? Yeah, I'd say so. Most of the songs that I grew up to, we had different things for doing with. You know what I mean? So if we were listening to Selly Cell or something like that, you know what I mean? Most dudes were trying to have like a good day where we were, you know, we weren't really beefing, not like that. And then like if we were listening to RBL or some of those songs, that we'd be ready to go out there and jack, you know. I never had like a good car, you know what I mean? I grew up driving pieces of shit, buckets. But you try and make it into your own, you know. So most of the songs that I attribute to would be to what I was driving, like a 85 Honda, or. But I know the slang of, you know, for most of the cars, you know, as far as when I was growing up, you know.
Okay. So like being that you drive Hootlies, you got a brand new rental. What song? What are you going? What are you throwing in the? What's the first song you're playing in the? Whatever your favorite car in the world is. What song are you putting in? What's the first song you're gonna bump in the car?
What's the first song I'm listening to now? Like,
yeah, right now you're getting a new car, a rental. What's the first thing you're gonna
oh,
bump?
I'm listening to Roddy Ricch.
Yeah.
I haven't taken Roddy Ricch out of rotation.
You're not answering the question. You're like just answering the question.
Oh.
You gotta say what I'm saying and then say the answer.
Okay.
So like right.
If I were to get into a rental car, if I were to get a brand new rental because I drove terrible cars, the songs that I would listen to right now would probably be Roddy Ricch. Like that would be in my rotation.
That's the guy that do the box, right?
That's who does the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think go back. Is there a story hip hop car related that I might have missed it in ask that you want to tell? Something you want to add?
I don't know. There's just so much that you know what I mean? This is weird for me because it just takes me back to a place. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to reestablish everything that I've lived and went through. Mm-hmm. I think that, you know, as far as like dealing with the cars and stuff, like a lot of what I grew up with guys was them going in and putting systems in a car. That was a big deal, you know what I mean? And everything that we would do to attain it. So the music attributed to my lifestyle for the most part. And we rob people like that. So most of the music that I would listen to would attribute to whatever, you know, lifestyle that we were dealing with. Some of my friends I grew up with sold drugs, and we listened to music attained to that, and then we grew up robbing people, and that's what we would do. We would rob people for their car stereos, not, you know, physically upright and take it. Some people did that. I had to be a little bit more elusive than that. I'm only 5'8", so we learned how to break into cars. And I did that for a while, you know. And all that music kind of attributed to it. RBL was for jacking people. We'd sit there and listen to it and listen to all the stories and be like, oh, okay, well, we can break into somebody's car, take their shit, lift their shit, and leave it on crates, wherever it is.
Okay. I feel like you incriminate every time I talk.
I know.
You incriminate yourself. I'm just curious, and have you ever? Because from Minister Society, you familiar with?
Oh yeah.
When he stole the guy's rim, how do you steal somebody's rims?
Oh, that is actually easier process than what you think it is, because
What's the easier process?
For the most part, like if you were going to steal somebody's Mustang rims, and this thing's got a lock on it, so most people that would take the rims off would have lock on there. So if you ride around and you got a hydraulic floor jack, you can take somebody's rims real easy. You just got to make sure they don't have the alarm going off on there. And this was back in the, you know, in the 90s and stuff, where, you know, we would see people that would have the alarm light in their car and not necessarily have the car alarm in there. So you would have to physically break into the car first. And if you weren't savvy enough to pop the lock, and, you know, if you didn't have a window jack, then you have to crack somebody's window open, pop open the trunk, not the trunk, the hood, and disable the alarm, which is connected to the battery somehow. And then you lift up their car and take the key lock, unlock their rims. Some of those guys had like specialty rims on there, and if you didn't have a key lock for it, it was a wrap. You just couldn't get it. But I mean, I knew some people that were so hell-bent on doing it, they would end up getting busted trying to get something. The key is don't get so greedy. You can't do that shit nowadays. So I mean, it's all kind of low jack systems and everything. I got caught. That's what I'm telling you, kids. Don't do the shit because you're going to get caught eventually. It's not worth it.
All right. So one more time, tell them your name, where you're from, and who you are.
I'm BrianGrainger, and I'm out of Wilmington, North Carolina.
By way of the Bay.
By way of the Bay Area, resident by way of New York. I was born in New York, but I'm the most un-New York person you know. Two-time Port City's Top Comic champion, resident comedian down at Dead Crow. Yeah.
Where can people find you at?
You can find me at home right now.
Social media.
And on social media, you can find me at Grainger9680 on Instagram and on Facebook, and my Black Feet Planet, where I show off my feet. That's my other side hustle. Got 10,000 followers on there. Black Feet Planet, BrianGrainger.
All right, man. All right. Wrap. Cut.